Good morning, everyone. Bonjour tout le monde. Welcome to the Moncton tour. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. We just wanted to start out, I'll give you kind of a quick introduction. My name is Matt Crossman. I'm the president of Ambulance New Brunswick.
And I'm JP Savoie, Director of Operations for Ambulance New Brunswick.
Craig Pierre, Regional Manager for Eastern Operations, Ambulance New Brunswick.
Michel Gavel, Senior Manager at the Medic Center, Ambulance New Brunswick.
Great, thanks, guys. We just want to give you kind of a few updates today. We've been giving some of the same updates for those that have seen the tour in previous sessions, but we want to give everyone kind of a chance to hear what's going on and some of those things that we've been working on in the system. And at any time, if you have any questions, feel free to enter them in online and we'll be able to take them. One of the first things I know you guys and gals are going to see at the in-service an update on advanced care paramedics, but we just wanted to say we're very proud and excited about the program. Since April it's been launched, and we've been really able to see some amazing statistics and data on the work that the folks have been doing throughout the province. We've got 3 sites, as you know, and they've been functioning now for about 9 months, so we've got some really good statistics. I know some of the things that you guys are going to see are the amount of drug medications which we've been able to administer throughout the program, the amount of advanced procedures, and the amount of people that we've been able to treat. As you know, when we first launched the program, one of the main components was looking at community paramedicine. We were surprised by the level of activity and how busy the advanced care paramedics have been. So the next phase of the project is really to validate the data that we've been collecting. Department of Health is looking to do a review to showcase kind of the great work that's been done by the people that have been providing care to the patients. And our next hope is we're going to look for ways of how can we improve on this and how can we expand it either in the specific sites or other sites in the province. We're really excited to finally have launched at ACPs and think that there'll be a great benefit to the system for years to come. One of the other big projects that we want to talk about is interfacility transfers. Again, a third of our business is interfacility transfers. There's been a project that's been launched now for almost a year where we've had representatives from the Department of Health, Horizon, and Vitalite at the very senior level, at the VP level, who have met almost on a monthly basis. And we've been able to put together kind of a project plan where we've been looking at different elements of how to bring this group together. There's been some pretty amazing things that we found out. One is only a third of our transfers are pre-booked, and the folks try and do a great job every single day of coordinating the activities and how we move vehicles around to be able to facilitate these transfers. One of the issues we know is emergencies come up and sometimes impacts our plans. But when we talk about what's pre-booked and what isn't, when 2/3 of the transfers aren't pre-booked, we really don't have a lot of notice and we don't have a lot of time to prepare. So those are some of the things that the group is working on. There's also been a working group established where there's physicians and other experts from around the different areas of the province who are working on these different initiatives, and there's 4 subgroups. The first subgroup, who's being led by Ronnie Alain, is our operation model, and they're looking at how to operationalize this potential project. The next one is Sharon Baxter, who's leading our stakeholder engagement subcommittee. And Sharon's doing a great job. As you can imagine, there's a lot of different stakeholders involved in this project, whether it be interfacilities, whether it be nursing homes, whether it be patients themselves, and also our staff as well. Then you've got Mathieu Hachet, who's put together through his Lean Six Sigma project a transfer algorithm. And Mathieu, through his project, was able to come up with a triaging methodology to be able to apply for stat transfers. As you guys know, and on a daily basis, we get calls for stat transfers, which really aren't stat, and it's a symptom of frustration in the system. So Mathieu's come up with an algorithm where we would be able to basically triage transfers and be able to give them a guaranteed time of when we would be there. Obviously, if it's a true stat, we'll drop everything and go right away to transfer that patient. But if it's something that necessarily isn't a true stat, we would then triage and be able to give them the appropriate time of when we can respond and when the system isn't busy. Mathieu did get some feedback from some of the physicians around the province, and the feedback was we didn't take into account the capacity at the facility level, specifically in rural hospitals. So Mathieu's reworked that, and we're now working at it at a committee level. So hopefully you'll start to see that in the new year. And the last one is the one led by Dan Burke, and it's Deployment of Resource Subcommittee. And they're looking at how we actually deploy the resources. So kind of a couple of the next steps for the project are we're going to look at an external vendor to validate our data, specifically around transfers. And the other thing that we're going to look at is some type of software and some type of booking type device. So when you look or think of some outside agencies such as massage therapy or a dentist appointment or things like that, a lot of the time you can go online and actually book the appointment. Wouldn't it be great if somebody was sitting in CT booking a patient, or somebody was going to call and book a CT scan, and they're looking at a computer and see our availability and when we can actually facilitate the transfer based on our resources and our ability. So those are some things that we're kind of looking at, and I think they'll be a great addition to the system. One of the other things we want to give an update on, this is really exciting, is obviously the announcement that's been made, and there's been a lot of media attention on it with the extramural project, Telehealth 811 and Ambulance New Brunswick. As you know, Medivi's been embarked on this journey for the last almost 2 years, I'd say, where there's been finally an announcement made January 1st that 3 entities are going to come together. So we've got basically Ambulance New Brunswick that functions today as a provincial system. We've got extramural program that does almost 500,000, or if not over 500,000 visits a year with practitioners spread across the province, but now it's divided in both Horizon and Vitalite. And then we've also got Telehealth 811 that sees about 80 to 90,000 patients a year. So when you look at all of those, we're almost touching every single New Brunswicker in one way or the other. So by bringing the entities together, we think that we're going to be able to do more in the primary healthcare space. Over the last 15 years, the population in New Brunswick's only risen by about 2%, but the amount of people that have gone over 65 has risen by more than 50%. And when you look at the next 15 years to come, it's expected to grow by another 50%. So we need to do things to kind of prepare for that. You know, if you go to the facilities today that they're overcrowded and there's an over-reliance on the acute care setting. People are going to the hospitals because they don't know where else to go. So we think by bringing these entities together and breaking down some of the silos, we're going to be able to do more in the patient's home and do more to keep them in that home. When you think of the different organizations that are going to be at our disposal, I'll give you an example. Telehealth 811 today potentially could get a call from a patient in their home, and they might think that for the most part that patient could remain in the home, but because they're only able to validate things by over the phone, they're risk adverse and they need to send them to the facility or need to advise them to go to the facility. In the future, we might be able to go and we might be able to actually check on the patient for them. We might be able to do a vital check and say, you know, here's what we found, and yeah, it kind of coincides with the information that they gather. And vice versa. We might be able to go to someone's patient's home and we may think that they're stable and that they're okay, but we need someone else to do a follow-up in the next 3 hours to make sure that they're still okay. Telehealth 811 might be able to do that, just as an example, or EMP for that matter. So I think it's going to be a really great initiative. For Ambulance New Brunswick, I guess the message is for the next few months, not a lot's going to change. You guys are going to function as normal, but we're going to look for ways to start to collaborate down the road. We're going to look for ways to start to look at community paramedicine and other types of projects, and you folks are going to be involved, because I think it's important for everyone to kind of have an understanding and a say as we move forward to some of the different programs that we're going to look at. So we're going to look to you guys for some input and feedback, and I think it's exciting because as a paramedic, it's always good to have other opportunities, whether it be transfer service, advanced care paramedics, training, management, other types of roles. Community paramedicine and other things are just another avenue where we can start to go and start to explore other types of business. Just on the extramural project, so there's a couple of main initiatives that we want to be able to achieve. Obviously, it's about providing good patient care and keeping the patient in the home, but not just keeping them there healthier and happier. One thing we hear a lot is people live a lot longer today, but they're not necessarily living healthier. It's estimated that 62% in New Brunswick are over the age of 65 have at least one chronic disease, and I think over 50% have 2 or more. So those are some pretty high, staggering numbers. People may be living longer, but they're not necessarily healthier, and we want to make sure that people have a healthy retirement and have the services at their disposal that they need. With this project, we're also looking to kind of be an avenue of information, I guess, if you might call it. With our Health Service Communication Center, we're looking to be able to provide patients with the information, even if it doesn't fit under our umbrella, where they can go get services. And I think that's an important thing so that people don't end up at the ER. And when we take people at the ER, they're actually not, in a holding pattern because the system's so busy. So those are just a couple of updates on the extramural program. I think you guys are going to see a lot more information as it starts to come along, and I think it's a really exciting time, and I think there'll be a lot of benefit for all of us.
Thank you. So one great announcement, and if you've been checking your emails, you already know that we're moving to launch the Stryker Power Pro XT, power stretcher, which we hope will reduce soft tissue injuries for paramedics and also increase patient safety. So this new stretcher meets or exceeds all safety standards that are coming out in the near future. This stretcher is going to be equipped with a rugged X restraint package. So basically there's going to be belts across the chest and there across, which increases safety in terms of restraining the patient in case of collision. The stretcher will have dual wheel locks, and it comes with an XPS mattress and side rail that will allow to carry and transport bariatric patient safely and comfortably. So the training for this new piece of equipment will start during the spring in service, so probably around mid-March. And part of the training will be done through e-learning. And the training will be provided to paramedics, to the EMDs, dispatchers, and flight nurse. So we're going to provide the paramedics, flight nurse, and the EMD an opportunity to practice with this new piece of equipment. So there's going to be a lot of practice time. The plan, I believe, is to have some of those stretchers delivered in some of the stations around the province, so paramedics have a chance to play with it. So the installation of those new devices will be starting mid-May 2018, when, of course, once all the in-service are completed. The other exciting news is that in 6 months, our company, A&B, will be accredited. We already have a date booked for our surveyors to come in. So last week of May, we should have a team of 5 surveyors traveling across New Brunswick. Those individuals are top-notch expert. They come from all across Canada, and they obviously have a good understanding of what an EMS system should look like. So they're going to be visiting 22 sites throughout the province, and they're going to be having conversations with paramedics, dispatchers, and flight nurse. They also are planning on interviewing some of our past patients, obviously, to get their view on how we provide care to the public. The plan is also for them to do some ride-along and basically get a good understanding of the full spectrum of how we face challenges of being a large provincial system. The other part of the project is that we're putting some finishing touch on some of our process. Things like live audits on our hand hygiene. So we have individuals going to hospital, monitoring paramedics washing their hands, making sure that they're following the process for the procedure. We have launched this week, if you check your emails, enhancing our patient safety reporting. So Matthew actually sent out a link. Everything can be reported online now. And we encourage paramedics, flight nurses, and dispatchers to use that tool to report any close calls regarding patient care, equipment failure, and so on. So it's important to report those events so we can make sure that we can address them and prevent them in the future. We are also, we drafted a document called an ethic framework. It's coming out soon. It's been translated. So keep an eye on your emails. You're going to get that information soon. And one thing that we're launching soon also is a patient and family advisory group. We're probably going to be one of the first EMS systems in Canada to have a patient safety advisory group. This group will be composed of volunteers that comes from across the province, and we were working with different sections of our company to provide different perspective. So So example, they're going to be sitting at maybe the policy review committee, or if we implement a new piece of equipment, we're going to get their input. I think that's a great news. We're also putting action plans in place around the survey that were done by the paramedics last summer. So we're looking at all the response that we received from the paramedics, anything that needed work or needed us to focus on. Well, we've been working on that. And we're going to be sending another survey to see if we've seen some improvement coming up in March. So once again, you'll get some notification about that. I'm going to just provide a brief update on NBTMR. So I was in a meeting recently, and VTI in 2018 will make some improvement again on our system. Presently in New Brunswick, we have approximately 92 towers. In 2018, that number is going to increase to approximately 101, 102. They're going to be adding towers between the community of Saint-Quentin and Bathurst. There'll be a tower added in Saint-Léonard, close to the border crossing. They already installed, I believe, 2 towers in St. John, and the feedback that we're getting from the paramedics is positive. So the coverage is improving, both in the community and actually in the emergency room also. They're planning on adding a tower at the Fundy National Park and another one in the Couchouac National Park. So that's great. Those are really remote areas. Part of the initial launch of NBTMR, there was some analysis of coverage, especially in the hospital. So the good news is, starting in 2018, DTI will be installing amplifiers in some of our healthcare facilities. So in areas that today where we don't have any good coverage, we get this bonk, we're going to prioritize the list for them, and they're going to start installing those devices, and hopefully that will improve coverage in those facilities. The other thing that we're working on, we've been working with DTI for a while now, is reprogramming of our radios. So it was supposed to be done in November, but it impacts all the users throughout the province, so it's a little delay. But the plan is that our portable radios will be reprogrammed, and the paramedics will have the options to basically reduce the volume, even in areas where there's no coverage. So everybody's been complaining about the bonk in no coverage area. That's really loud, especially if you have your shoulder mic and it's close to your ear. So you're gonna have the opportunity to reduce your volume. I guess the key here is reduce the volume, but don't turn your radio off. And we also implemented paging through the portable radios. And we found that it's 100% more accurate than paging. With paging, you all know there's always delays. We have experienced delays of 30, 60 seconds or even more. But with the portable radio being paged, as soon as you press the key, the page is received right away. There's no delays whatsoever. So Michelle and his team are working with TriTech to, right now all we have is assigned to 911 call and assignment transfers. So they need to work with TriTech to implement assigned to post. The radio equipment is very expensive, and since the implementation of NBTMR in New Brunswick, some of our equipment has gone missing. So we've been missing some shoulder mics, some batteries, some holsters for the portable radios. If you have any of those devices or components, I would urge you to bring them back. That's costing a lot of money to replace, and that's money that we can use elsewhere. One of the other observations, I've been in the position now since June, and it's reported to me on a weekly basis that some of our equipment is getting vandalized. So we have seen some MRX screen being busted. We've seen some tough books being coming back to fleet with the cases cracked or the screen destroyed, or some of the keys on the keyboard being removed. We've seen some folks who decided to write with markers on some of the equipment inside the trucks, We've seen some carving with metal objects on the paint of the ambulance and so on. Once again, an MRX screen is $10,000. Some of the equipment that we use is very expensive. And a cost of repair are in the thousands of dollars. So the money that we spend replacing, fixing, it's money that we cannot spend somewhere else. So I urge you to, if you see somebody destroying our equipment, to report. And thank you.
Great, thanks JP. Just a couple other initiatives we want to talk about. One is a big one that JP and the group here have worked on, as well as HR for the last little bit, and are going to continue to work on recruitment. We know recruitment's been a challenge, and we know it impacts all of you on a daily basis, whether it be awarding of vacations or short-term leave or things like that. We've spent a lot of time and effort trying to recruit new paramedics and communications officers and nurses as well into the system, and we're going to continue to work on that. So we've got some innovative ways we think that we're going to be able to hopefully make some headway in those areas over the next couple of months. Again, we're going to try and do it as quickly as we can. We know that summer's hopefully just around the corner, and it's important for people to get time off when they can. But it's also important that for everyone to remember, you guys kind of have an ability to help us out in that system as well. You're located in all the communities, you see people in the community, encourage people to get into the career and encourage people to come work for Ambulance New Brunswick, and I think it'll make a big difference for all of us. One of the other big ones we want to talk about is just all the media coverage. We know there's been a lot in the papers, and there's been a lot of negative media attention. I just want to say that it's a no reflection to the work that you folks do on a daily basis, and we want to thank you for the work that you do. A lot of this has stemmed from the recent announcement of Extramural and the fact that we're venturing into a new contract. So there's always a lot of media attention. I just want you guys to know that unfortunately it's always seems to be the negative stuff that hits the papers. It's never the positive stuff and the great work that you guys do. I just want you guys to know from us that we do care and we do appreciate all the work that you guys do. So thank you very much. And I hope you guys know that we do try and promote the profession. We do try and put positive news stories out to the media. Unfortunately, we just don't get a lot of uptake on that. Maybe at this point, we'll just throw it out if there's any questions.
Got a question coming in online. LDTs at night, when are they going to stop, especially ones going to the northern region? Can we not have a pre-alert from the hospitals about scheduled appointments and perhaps upstaff a unit to specifically do that transfer for that day?
Want me to take it, Jim?
Well, like part of the inter-facility transfer project, all those, that's one of the questions that we're trying to address. I think we want to minimize for sure any transfers at night. Do I believe that we're going to be able to eliminate them completely? I don't believe so. But everything is on the table with this new project. So we're looking at every option possible. So hopefully, probably within 6 months to a year, we're going to see some changes. And we're planning on communicating those changes to the union, to the paramedics,
That's a good point, JP, just to add to that. One of the things I didn't say in this session, but I have in all the other ones, is one of the next steps for the inter-facility transfer is us to meet with the union. And that's, we're looking to set up a time and schedule that, because that's where there's been some preliminary work and we want to involve the union very early on, but great comment.
One more here. The 6.6 truck is constantly doing transfers. Can we do something to share the morning and night transfer workload?
That's something that we're, again, it's all related to transfers, and that's one of the things we're working out with. I think with the introduction of a piece of software where dispatchers can have a tool to manage resources better, I think you're probably going to see some improvement in those cases. I think we try to share the workload. Not always possible. From one day to the next, you have different dispatchers in the position, so that they're not always aware of what was done the day before, but something that is also on the agenda for our transfer committee.
Another question about transfers. Are they a possibility? Will you be using trucks that are currently in existence?
Yeah, so great question. We're looking at using both existing trucks in the system. So on a daily basis today, a lot of our trucks are doing transfers. If you think about how we facilitate the transfers today, it's existing resources. To start with the pilot, we suspect, again, none of this has been figured out yet. That's what the groups are working on, that existing trucks would be utilized to be able to provide the service. But as we start to build the program, we'll also demonstrate the need if we need additional resources. That's one of the big things right now is we don't know if we do need additional resources because we get impacted by a lot of emergency calls today. We could have MCMC does a great job of kind of lining out the day and planning which trucks are going to do what transfer. And then we have a MBC on the highway that has 4 patients and it completely impacts the whole day. And it's a full cascade on all the other transfers throughout the day. So unfortunately, that's why, we don't know exactly if we think we probably need more resources, but we need to demonstrate that.
One more here. How will the ruling from the Saulnier court case affect us?
So a lot of the, great question, it was just on the Saulnier court case. So there's a couple of things that we need to do on an annual basis just to report our progress. We already do those things today. We report them to our board of directors. So essentially the things that we're working on a daily basis, we're already working on. So you shouldn't really see much of an impact from a frontline perspective. There really won't be any impact.
Can you discuss any updates on the future of ACP at the end of the pilot project in April?
It's a great question. So we don't know where the pilot project's going to be at this time. So as you guys know, the minister changed hands. So there's a little bit of a learning curve there. There's a new health minister who obviously has to become familiar with the program. We've had great success so far with the program. One of the things we're missing is we just started to get data the last couple of months. So there's a steering committee that looks at advanced care paramedics that's made up of representatives from Department of Health and Ambulance New Brunswick. We've taken, Eric and the team have taken a lot of time to pull the information together. They're looking at every single call that an ACP does, and we're pulling it together into a monthly report. Our plan is to share that information with you folks. We just started to get it, as we said, just probably about 2 months ago. We just started to we're still trying to finalize the reports. The next phase is to analyze the data, and then from there we should be hopefully, I think by April, May-ish, we should be in an area where a decision can be potentially made. Again, the groups are doing an amazing job. I can't speak on behalf of the government, but I don't see them, going away from advanced care paramedics. I think everyone sees the benefit, so we just need to kind of demonstrate and show the ability of how we can improve it and how we can kind of replicate it in other areas as well.
Can we do something about the radio tone? It's far too loud and startles the public if we are paying for gas, food, etc.
So I guess the first part of the question, the tone, that's something we're working with ETI with. Like I said earlier, the reprogramming of the radios was supposed to be done in November, early November, but obviously we're in December now and it's still not done. But I'm sure that they're working on making sure the update gets done. And it's not only affecting Ambulance New Brunswick, it's affecting the other 1,000 users throughout the province. So I'm sure they want to make sure that everything is right before they do this upgrade.
The new Moncton base, are you able to elaborate on it at all?
Correct.
Right now, where we're sitting is that we've been approved in the east, because this is going out to more than just the Moncton area. The east has been approved for 4 bases. Moncton is certainly one of them. Sackville is the other, Riverside, Albert, and Hillsborough are the other ones as well. Where we're at right now is they're doing a phase 1 on the land for the proposed sites. So we really can't say anything until the phase 1s are done, because that determines whether we can use that land for the base or not. but the award has been done, so we're a lot further ahead than we were before. And talking to the project persons for the company that was given the award, they're really good to deal with, and we're hoping to see that we should be anywhere in bases by the end of next year.
It's only taken 10 years, but finally,
Yeah.
and it's not been lack of trying. Craig and Eve and everyone has fought really hard for a new base. Unfortunately, it just took a lot of time. We had approval from the board, and just because of the costs were higher here than anywhere else in the province. But finally, the board's at least approved everything, and Craig and the folks have been doing it okay. So good news.
More first responding in an ambulance. It seems like a missed opportunity for us to be able to help out if we are able to. So why are we being told no?
It came up at another session.
Yeah, that's something we're in discussion with the Department of Health. Obviously, ACPs are able to respond to calls. There are lone medics. Personally, and I think we all share the same feeling that if there's a lone medic in one location and there's a call in that specific location, that the paramedic should be able to respond to that call.
One more online. For the new family day, emergency day, what reasons would the ops deny it?
Well, right now, we're still trying to figure out what, I guess, the family day is all about. We know that it is there for emergencies. That was stated in the collective agreement. Some of the things that we would be looking at, that people trying to pre-book this day down the road, is something that we would look at and say, no, that's not what it's intended for. It is intended for emergencies. And that would be items like you have a water pipe break in your house, you having trouble, or a sick kid, or problems with daycare. These are unforeseen things that you need a day off because life happened. So we wouldn't be looking at refusing them. It's just when you're trying to forecast and say that I'm going to take it off next Wednesday, that's not really what the intent was. So our whole objective is to work with the staff. We know that life happens and you need to have time off, and it's great that that day is there now so that you actually have that one to take.
Yeah, the other thing I would add is we only received a copy of the collective agreement about a week and a half ago, and we're trying to review the document, and that we have a labor management meeting coming up with the union in the next week, I believe. So I'm sure that's going to be a topic of discussion at the table. So.
Great questions, so keep them coming if you guys have. Maybe do a final call for questions online if everyone has any questions. Take the time to say thank you to everyone who took the time to join in. Hopefully you like the online format. It gives you a chance to join from anywhere, and we're planning to do more tours, more frequent, and in different locations. So today was in Moncton. The next time might be in Shediac or Sackville or some other areas. So we're going to look to move around as we start to kind of do more of these. And you still have the ability to join online. So I hope you find that a convenient way. I just want to wish everyone a happy and merry and safe holiday season, and maybe a couple final words from Craig and JP and Michelle.
No, thank you very much for your time. I know everybody's busy, especially this time of the year. I'm also wishing everybody a safe holiday season. And like I said before, my door is always open. I'm just an email away. So please don't hesitate to contact me.
echoing the group that, stay safe through the holiday. You have some gatherings coming up, so please come out and share in the holiday season with your workmates and peers. I'm trying to make it around to some of the events. We're scheduling, as it is, but trying to get out and around there. You know my email, you know my phone number. If you just want to say hi, or if you have a great idea with any of the things that have been discussed here today, please, we want to hear from you. You're out there in the trenches, and we can't experience everything that you're going through every day. So please let us know what's going on, and again, please stay safe through the holiday season.
For me, just happy holidays and be safe. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, everyone.